你气死咩？
Hey folks, man, this is Monk, and we are back with another episode of Classics of Cinematics, and I'm joined as always with my co-host Bobby Blockbuster.
Yo, yo, yo!
Yeah, folks, so we got a special one here today. We got an action thriller from 1999, The Corruptor. And this film is directed by James Foley. And in this film, Detective Nick Chen teams up with his colleague Danny Wallace to keep several gangs in New York City's Chinatown from annihilating each other. They must contend not only with the increasingly power-hungry gangsters, but also with the temptation of bribery and corruption as the bad guys divide and conquer the police forces. In what's beginning to seem like a losing battle, Chen and Wallace struggle to establish law and prevent more bloodshed. Yeah, this film has a really good cast here. So we got Mark Wahlberg, we also got Chow Yun Fat in this, we also got Kim Chen in this, and also Rick Yun and Paul Ben Victor. Well, let's get into this thing, man, because I think this film is special for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for starters, it gives you everything you could ask for in like a crime drama style film. I mean, you get the good criminal element, you get the over the top cops, you get some gunfights, car chases, and some corruption. You know what I'm saying? And what really helps this film work out in the best ways, because it throws us right into the underbelly of New York City's Chinatown and all the deception and corruption that's going through it. You know what I mean? It really kind of opens up that can of worms of what these cops kind of have to put themselves through to peel back these layers of this criminal element. You know what I'm saying? And they do it well. They do it well.
I think that's one of the things that stands out to me, because we're looking into something we don't very much see often, like the setting of this thing, like Chinatown itself, and just the subject matter, man. We see the Irish mob, we've seen the Italian mob, like all over the place. A lot of Italian mob films, man. Even the black mobs, you know what I'm saying? But to see the Chinese, you know what I'm saying, organized crime, I wouldn't say it's like an original story, but there's so much stuff in here that I think makes this stand out, like in a genre that's kind of been oversaturated and overdone, you know, especially at this time period when this thing comes out.
If they're going to take this approach for this kind of film, you know what I'm saying, if you want to have it based in Chinatown, who better to bring to the forefront than Chow Yun Fat as the lead officer, Nick. You know, Chow Yun Fat is one of our renegade cops, and, you know, by what he just did, we're going to get backlash from the commander, which then opens up the doors for why rookie cop, what's his name, Wallace, Danny Wallace, played by Wahlberg, comes in, and now he has been thrown into Chow Yun Fat, or Nick's unit. And, you know, it's wild because with this being based in Chinatown, Mark Wahlberg being this rookie white cop, Chow Yun Fat's like, man, it's already bad enough you giving us this fish out of water in this white rookie cop, but now he's green. You see what I'm saying? Like, he's wet behind the ears totally. So how can he really help?
Yeah, it's interesting, man. Like once you look into, like, you know, the character of Nick Chen in this, man, you know, like you said, he's that grizzled veteran, and he's used to, you know, doing things his way. And the interesting thing, because he is Chinese, he knows Chinatown. He knows how it operates. And apparently, like you said, you know, he's running afoul of his bosses and like, yo, we got to rein this guy in. So they give him a partner. You know what I'm saying? And also, I love this trope in the film, man. Trope alert. Yeah. where it's like, yo, and especially in these cop movies, we need to diversify the unit. You know what I'm saying? So that's why Mark Wahlberg comes into this seemingly all Chinese unit, you know, of the NYPD to work in Chinatown, man. And it's crazy because I love Chow's character in this, man. Yeah. He's grizzled veteran, really hard, but also you could tell if he's keen on, if he likes you, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. He's straight up with you, you know what I'm saying? He's going to show you the way. He cares, but he's one of those guys, I can't really show that I care too much, but the way he ribs you and guides you along and gives, Danny advice, man, it definitely helps him. And it helps, Nick in a way, you know what I'm saying, achieve his goals.
And, you know, and it's wild too, because as we get all of this from the cops' perspective, we also get the flip side with the criminal element, where pretty much when it comes to the gangs in this surrounding area, the new wave is trying to wash out the OGs. So we got that going on, and, you know, then you kind of find out as the story progresses that Nick has such success in his position because he's kind of, you know, working with these criminals, on the low. But
he's double dipping,
he's definitely double dipping the chip.
Man.
And he kind of, he even makes a comment about halfway through the film when he's talking to Wallace. He's like, when I got put on to this unit, it was because I was the only Asian cop in the whole precinct. So this unit was kind of created so he could navigate through the streets almost seamlessly. And he did it so well that he formed these relationships with these bosses that underbosses that turn into bosses.
He had to, because the way that area worked in, he even says he was like, no one will talk to me. I'm a cop. I'm still a cop. You know what I'm saying? Even though I'm Chinese. So it makes sense how, eventually he gets corrupted, which leads to the title of this story, but it's also in a way where we're mitigating damage. Yes. In a way, it's like he knows what these gangsters are doing, but as long as it doesn't get too extreme, as long as bodies don't turn up, which is crazy because
they are.
Yeah. They are, and that's where the problem comes in, because you got these two warring factions, power struggle. Yeah. So they're dropping bodies, and he's really trying to stop that. It's not like he's trying to ultimately stop the crime and take out the top gangsters. No, he's there to keep things in control.
What really works too is there's this blurred line between the ones upholding the law and the lawless. And then so we get the criminal side of it, but then we also get like good cop, badder cop going on. You know what I'm saying? As we watch Nick and Wallace, they're kind of like swimming in muddy waters in a sense where they got to get dirty to get clean. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Because they do have righteous intent. They're just going about it in the worst ways while overindulging in what's going on around them.
And I think that's where this film is good at, especially in the first half of it, just establishing these connections. We see little subtle hints that imply that Nick is probably compromised a little bit. Yeah. And we even see him meeting with the big bosses, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And trying to make everything work out. And then you see Danny, he's kind of like, yo, what's going on here? But at the same time, he's enjoying the little tastes that he's getting.
He's got his nose open. He's like, oh, what's going on? Can I get a piece of that pie too? Literally. Like, what I'm saying? He started turning up at the massage parlors too and started really enjoying the fruits and that kind of, what we don't really know what his motivation is early on in the film. We just think, okay, he's rookie cop and he's just kind of, following behind Nick, and then, like I said, enjoying the fruits. But then, as the story progresses and we kind of see that it's twisting and turning in ways that we didn't expect.
Yeah. Now, shout out to my man Kim Chen, plays Benny Wong. He's the head gangster in this, man. Really great actor. He's been in a lot of films over the years, man, including, some noted, big time American hits, man. I'm pretty sure, I'm looking at him now, Lethal Weapon 4, man. I'm just going through this guy's filmography a little bit, man. And this guy has been in a lot of stuff, man. I'm trying to think of his early 80s stuff. He was in The Fifth Element, but he plays a great big boss in this thing, man. What I like, also, he represents the old guard, man, because he's about to pass the torch to Henry Lee. Yeah. But Henry is impatient about this. He wants it now. You know what I'm saying? And he puts things in motion to try to get Benny Wong out of the picture early. Matter of fact, he does. He
really does. And I'm glad that you brought up Henry Lee, because I wanted to shout out Rick Young, who plays Henry Lee, and he gives us a full-on Starscream element. He is the underboss that just, like you said, can't wait his turn to level up. You know what I'm saying? He wants it quicker than when it's going to be given to him. And he really has everything laid out in front of him. And, when you get these kind of underbosses, you can kind of see, because in a lot of movies, they focus a lot more on all the work that these underbosses are doing. You know what I'm saying? We don't see Benny Wong that much. He's top of the mountain. He's calling all the shots, so we don't need to see him get his hands dirty, because he don't. But Henry Lee, on the other hand, he's out there in the streets. He's making the moves. He's putting the hits on people.
He's sending people out there though. We see him in a way too, and always in the office. We don't. He sends his guys out to do his work.
He's the one that's actually in the room with the police though. He's the one that Nick and Wallace are working directly under. He's the ear or the one that's whispering in both of their ears, you know what I mean? So, to kind of see him with his feet more on the ground, it's like, damn, you understand why he wants to, jokes for position a little bit because of all the work that he's putting in. And then, that'll take us right to Brian Mann, who plays Bobby Wu, which is like the #1 street soldier, the leader of the Fukinese Dragons. And they're, and this dude, he's gangster for real. Like, he's quick to pull his Uzi out. He'll even shoot you after you already kill yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's what he did to Benny Wong when Uncle Benny had the hit put on him. Took himself out. My man said, "I'll kill you anyways." Sprayed him up. You know what I mean? So
it's crazy, man. Also, get Paul Ben Victor. He's the I guess I don't know what the rank is, but he's the boss of the police, man. So he's the one that puts Danny on this case. Signs him as Nick's partner, and it's a trophy thing, man. I've never seen a film like this. I think you have to just not get along with your boss, with the police captain.
Yes. All day long.
And it makes for funny interactions. It allows these characters to kind of yell and go off. And I think that's the strong points of this film for me. And Chow Yun Fat walking around, maneuvering through these scenes, because I feel like Hard Boiled and The Killer, we kind of get a one-dimensional look at him. You know what I'm saying? He's a tough guy, but I think a role like this, and even A Better Tomorrow, even a film like City on Fire, Tiger on the Beat, we see more of his acting personality, the wider range, man. He could be funny at times. He could be charming, charismatic, but he can also has a real mean streak when needed to, man. And he's a perfect actor for a film like this, man. If you're going to have a film where you've got a senior officer mentoring a younger officer, it's pretty much Training Day. You know what I'm saying? Before Training Day, in a way. Before that film.
I would like to just, add and emphasize on was how he was kind of underutilized in this film as far as when it came to the action aspect. In his other films, we see him, do a little bit more with the gunfighting and everything. But what I liked about this is they give him a little bit more dialogue and stuff. So, we do.
I think this film is in a different vein of those. Like Hard Boiled, it's a cop film, but that's more. I feel like that's more Die Hard than something like this. This is a little bit more grounded. So when the action happens, it's done in a different way. He busts his guns, but it's not like the crazy John Woo style. And
that's cool because this way, it does kind of give him a little bit more of an emotional compass, and we kind of see a little bit more of his personality shining through. But with Daniel Wallace on the other side, he actually. He gives played by Mark Wahlberg, he gives us an early old school what we would get from classic style Mark Wahlberg acting. And, a lot of that is because director James Foley already worked with Wahlberg in the movie Fear. You see what I'm saying? Okay. And that's why, when I was watching this, I kind of felt like his character arc, and his attitude, demeanor was a lot like the role that he played in Fear, except for in this, he's a rookie cop, whereas in Fear, he was a crazy ex-boyfriend. But when he was acting nice in the movie Fear, when he was kind of fooling everybody, that's kind of the attitude that he had in this film. He kind of really pushes that. And it works for his character arc in this, you know what I'm saying? Just kind of coming in wet behind the ears and just not really knowing what was going on.
I think it's dope because Mark Wahlberg is early enough in his career, I think, where he still feels like he's trying. Whereas I felt later in his career, it got to the point where he's playing himself in every role. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So this actually still feels like in that early stage of him, putting up the real effort or getting roles that, that allowed him to feel like a whole person and not just Mark Wahlberg.
The one thing I will say is he does seem like he has a little bit more of a lighter side, a little more humor. You know what I'm saying? Like you see him playing roles like the what was it, the other guys? No, that was Will Ferrell. The one that he did with The Rock. You know what I'm saying? He's kind of,
he was in that though. The other guys.
Was he in the other guys?
I think he was. Was he?
Was Will Ferrell in?
No, my bad. I think no, Other Guys is Will Ferrell
and Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah. Right. Okay,
yeah,
right.
Cool.
Because The Rock and Sam Jackson, didn't they drive off the roof?
Right, okay, because I was thinking he also did a movie with The Rock. That was Pain and Gain. Yeah. So I'm cross switching them.
That's
up.
A good one, man.
That is a good one. That was based on a true story too. But as we push forward through the character list, another thing that really stood out was the setting. That is a character in itself because this film was shot on set in New York City's Chinatown with heavy focus on Canal Street. Go up and down that street a lot. That really adds to the authenticity and the realistic element that this film gives us. I mean, it takes us there. Like we are there in that place real time as we watch this movie, and that's really cool.
Yeah, man, and just the way it looks, man. Like I think the cinematography captures when they're in those dark and gritty rooms. It has a certain grit to it. It feels like something, from the late 80s, early 90s, in that crime wave. Especially like the scene where he goes into the he busts the I guess it's not a brothel per se. It looks like there's been human trafficking going on. And they've got all these, women in there, and he's, going through the hallways and stuff and creeping through, and he walks into the room and they're making a porno, you know what I'm saying? Like but it captures that grit. And then when the action goes, we get those really crazy, kinetic, frantic, cuts and edits, when the gun stuff is going down.
It's like the camera's always in rotation. You know what I'm saying? Like circling around. And one of the things I really liked, one of the scenes that stood out to me was the car chase scene. Mm-hmm. Like we get a lot going on because, the way they give us the way that this place looks at this time, it's like the sun never shines. It like I said, it enhances the raw grit of what we're getting from Chinatown at this point in time. But then when you see the cars just dipping through those tight streets and banging,
there's a car chase, man. That's crazy. That's another trope. Trope alert.
But yes, the car chases. A lot of people getting mowed down in the street. Innocence is getting hit for no reason. Mm-hmm. The undercover Fed, he gets killed in the process, you know what I'm saying? Cars flip over, jump over stuff, blow up, explode. I mean, we get a lot going on in a little, it's like maybe a 3-minute car scene, if that, where they said that if you watch the New Line Cinema DVD version, there should be like an uncut, version of the car scene, so you get a little bit more.
It's pretty long, dude. This is a drawn out. There's several, drawn out action scenes, and I think that kind of helps, man. But also I do feel like this thing runs a little bit fat. No pun intended. It does. Because there is a little bit, especially on the back end. I think the back end is all about them realizing who's who, what's been done, and reconciling their choices. And I think you could have truncated that a little bit by just chopping out a little bit. It's like I get it. These guys feel bad about what they are, what they've done, what they gotta do. So let's just get to it.
It seems like they got real repetitive with the criminal element. Like we keep seeing, what's going on with the trafficking stuff going on. Like they already kind of hit that nail all the way in the board. Like they didn't have to keep going back to it. It's insinuated. We see certain stuff going on. It's like, all right, cool. We don't have to keep, pressing rewind play on that. But another thing that stood out to me was the soundtrack and the score, where when you get this opening intro song, like I'd have put money down that the RZA would have produced that joint. That's what it kind of sounded like, but it wasn't. It was Carter Burwell. So shout out to him for bringing us that kind of like, it was like a hip hop infusion with old school Oriental style instruments and stuff. So that was really cool. But then when you get to the soundtrack, I mean, this was 90s hip hop. Heavy hitters all the way across the board. You had Jay-Z, Beanie Siegel, DMX, Memphis Bleak, all in the More Money, More Cash, More Hoes song. And then you get a UGK collaboration with E40 with Corruptor's Execution. And then, as you go down, you get Keith Murray, you get the Lox, you get Mobb Deep, Prodigy, as a group, and then Prodigy as an individual artist on another song. Dude, it's hit after hit after hit. This soundtrack goes from beginning to end. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it is like when you listen to it now, it encapsulates the artists that were shining in the songs the way they were made in the 90s. And that was, in my personal opinion, hip hop was at its best.
Yeah, and that's crazy too, because like when those beats hit, it just charges you up, man, gets you amped up, and it kind of represents the energy of these young gangsters that are running around, stirring this stuff up and making trouble, man.
Exactly. Like who don't get amped when they hear DMX start barking? You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's time to let the dog out.
Yeah, and this was one, man. I remember I tracked this down back in the day. I went to the theater and saw this, man, because I was a big Chow Yun Fat film. So anything he was coming in, I was definitely checking out. And I think this was on his wave. He started hitting the U.S., doing films. And I think right before this, we had The Replacement Killers.
Right.
Which is an interesting film. I don't think it's as good as this, but it has some good stuff in there, man, because that's directed by Antoine Fuqua, who also did the Equalizer series, a bunch of other stuff, man. I think he did the what was that movie? It was like Brooklyn's Finest.
Oh yeah,
man. So he's got a great filmography. So he was one of the first guys to get his hands on Chow Yun Fat once he came here, to the States. This might have been the first film he did. This is 98, for American audiences, actually.
Yeah, and it's kind of wild because I mean, for all intents and purposes, it underwhelmed in the box office. It pretty much broke even, coming in on a $25 million budget, and then only box officing, grossing 24.5. So, you know, and you know, we were talking about it before we started recording. A lot of the critics bagged on it for reasons beyond me, you know. So obviously, you can see through everything that we have to say. We don't have much bad to say about this film. So sometimes, you know, we can't really tell why critics say the things they say, or where they get their viewpoints for these films. But looking at the stuff that was said about this film, I mean, I just, you know, totally disagreed with almost everything that I read, you know. So that's another case in point where, you know, we all view through different lenses. We all get different feelings when we watch these movies. That's why you never listen to what somebody says. You always watch it for yourself to create your own thoughts and opinion on it.
Yeah. So he did Placement Killers. That was the first one. Then he did The Corruptor. And then The King is kind of interesting. I think that's him and Jodie Foster. We also have actually, hold up, is that Jodie Foster? Who's it? Oh yeah, I think so. Also, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. You know, boom, that was a big hit, man. Great film. Bulletproof Monk. And I guess some of this other stuff, he just went back to China. He did come back for Pirates of the Caribbean at the World's End. He plays a character in there, Captain Sao Fang. You know, so, and he did, unfortunately, Dragon Ball Evolution.
I wouldn't even brought that up. We might have to cut that out.
But it looks like most of his recent work has been, you know, mostly Chinese projects. But I would like to see him come back in this gangster realm as an older, you know, man as he is now, you know, like kind of like De Niro and Pacino and them, you know, and have a bout, you know, maybe bump around with some of them heads right now. That'd be cool, man, to add him in the mix, because even, you know, like coming over on Replacement Killers, you know, English wasn't his first language. He's learning it on the fly, and even in this, but in this, like, it's crazy. Like even though his English isn't perfect, the charisma translates, bro. Like the dude is just a beast to watch, man, and I enjoy films by this dude, man. It's crazy. Like I've never seen him phone in a role in anything, dude.
And you know, if he does come back, I'd really like to see him in that like hired assassin role, like straight away from the cops. Like, we you know, he's gotten a lot of those cop roles, but I'd like to see him.
But he's kind of old now, though. I don't know if I could imagine him jumping around and. You know,
like jump around. He can like be a sniper or something. Just like be real meticulous with it.
Or maybe even something totally different. Because now I don't think about him typecasting him. Like we've seen cops and killers. It's been the man's like career. Like
that's true.
Maybe he could be a dad, you know, or the next door neighbor. Like just like
maybe it could be like the
give
true,
some advice or some shit.
It could be like the True Lies vibe. Like he could be a dad when the sun's up, and then be a hired hitman when it gets night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know where you take it, man. After this point, but yeah, I don't know, man. Hollywood's getting kind of overdone with Hitman. I think John Wick is you know what I'm saying, pulling everything out. Then we had I've watched 2 killer movies. I think in the last maybe 6. There was Killer's Theme, Love Hurts. Then there was another one I saw recently, man. Then you got the new the Ballerina that's coming out. Yeah. I don't know, bro. It's like killer stuff is coming back now, but this guy is definitely responsible for why it is, man.
Absolutely.
But as far as The Corruptor, man, I think this is a great film, man. I think if a lot of people went back and you know, rewatched this thing, you know, with fresh eyes, especially people who probably, you know, didn't speak highly on it the first time around, they will find a pretty good film here. It's flawed. Yeah, it's rough around some of the edges. Yeah, it's tropey. Yeah, it's kind of predictable. But sometimes it's not the destination for me. It's the ride. And I think this ride is pretty damn solid, man. For all those strengths far outshine the weaknesses, you know, in my opinion.
Yes, by far. And like you said, the rewatchability is there. It's a time capsule film. It takes you right into the 90s, but like I said, it puts you in the atmosphere that they're trying to create. Like you feel like you're a bug on the wall out there in Chinatown, New York City. And I think they really just did a great job with that while navigating us through all of this corruption that's going on. You know what I'm saying? I had a lot of fun watching it this week, and it's definitely one that I would go back to at a later date.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely, man. Definitely. But I think we can wrap this up, folks. I'm going to be back with another one soon. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Tell the folks about us. And we got some more stuff on the way, man. I got a lot of stuff on the list. I'm probably going to dig into this Chinese wave a little bit more too with upcoming films, especially now that we got some of this stuff finally, getting releases, for the first time. Because I'm definitely going to go bring up City on Fire, man. I think A Better Tomorrow is definitely worth talking about. And it's just some more of this crazy Asian gangster filmmaking, man. It's just a wild genre, man. And I think, like I said, because of the locale, the way it's taking place, there are some similarities to American organized crime films, but I think the Asian spin on it is slightly different and enough to make those things worth checking out, especially when you got top performers like Tony Lane, Chow Yun Fat, you know what I'm saying, and more, so it's crazy, man. We'll definitely be visiting those, man.
Absolutely.
But yeah, make sure you check us out on the social media. We're at Classic Cinematics on Instagram. We're on the TikTok, and you can catch me at Monkey Blood on Twitter and Instagram.
And as always, this is Bobby Blockbuster. You can either catch me on the next show or out there in the real world.
All right.